Welcome back to the program. Joining me right now is my guest Chiedu Ugbo, who is the Managing Director of the Niger Delta Power Holding Company, NDPHC. Welcome to you, and it's been a while.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we've been very busy.
Yeah, welcome. We haven't spoken on the show. Let me not say we haven't seen. We haven't spoken on the show since your reappointment.
Oh, really?
Yes, okay. For President Buhari.
Oh, wow.
I think that was on 2020, if I'm not mistaken.
2020, you're correct.
Yeah, so we haven't spoken on the show. Not that we haven't seen. We've seen at least a few times.
Yes.
So congratulations will be in order, even though it's 2 years.
Thank you very much. It's always in order. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, let's get started first. And I think I'll start with a question around how much power, because power generation. Yeah. That's actually what you do and all of that. How much power is generated averagely daily? Can I have a sense of that?
Well, it depends on a lot of factors. If you take, because in generation there are a lot of factors involved. 3, basically the input, which is the gas, for gas thermal generation companies, which forms about 80% of our generation in Nigeria. And then, of course, the state of the power plants, and then the state of the evacuation facilities, that's the transmission facilities. So it depends on their state at every given point in time to determine how much is generated. But on average, we do between 4,000 and 5,000. In terms of actual generation. But yeah, generation companies, including NDPHC, will argue that we'll have a lot more of that capacity available. However, in early part of this year, we're all hit with a lot of unplanned outages requiring maintenance. So around March, where you saw that generation was very low because a number of plants were doing were on outage for either scheduled or unscheduled maintenance. So again, that will affect the level of generation available. Then typically, again, consistently, let me put it that way, we have this transmission challenge, which the transmission company often attributes to the low offtake from distribution companies. So we have all those challenges, but on average, we do anywhere between 4,000, 5,000 daily. In fact, recently, July 1, the regulator got the generation companies, in fact, the market participants to sign contracts so that we'll have a contract-driven market, PPAs, with all the generation companies to deliver a minimum of 5,000 megawatts. And that started, but again, as soon as it started, we were hit with serious gas constraints across the gas thermal generation companies. So again, that brought the level of generation down. But yes, we have the equipment, we have the machines to generate even well above 5,000 megawatts. Like I said, available today should be anywhere between 7,000 and 8,000 megawatts. And the capacity of the installed machines, I mean, we say 13,000, but there are others, about 4,000 thereabout, from IOCs and all that, that could take it up to like 17,000 thereabout installed in the country, yes. But we are challenged by gas, we are challenged by transmission, and seasonally, again, the water flow for the hydros that make up the remaining 15–20%. Yeah.
Okay. I will come back to some of the issues which you've raised, but I want to go back to your first term.
Yes.
Or your first tenure.
Yes.
Let's put it that way.
Yes.
What were some of the challenges of the first term when at least you were MD first 4 years?
Yes.
Before 2020, before you were reappointed by Mr. President.
Yes.
What were those challenges, and are they still staring you in the face?
Okay, that's a very good question. The major challenge, okay, before we talk about challenges, let's talk about what our mandate is. Then we now, if we're able to do that, dimension that we can now see where the challenges are. We essentially a project company, build generation plants, build the associated transmission and distribution, to ensure that there's offtake. But our mainstay is generation and managing the plant. We just assist the transmission company. We intervene also in distribution to build the distribution assets. But our ability to intervene in transmission and distribution, our ability to maintain our power plants to generate money is also, was and is still dependent on the monies we get from the market. And that money we get from the market, one is dependent on the ability of the transmission company to dispatch us. To us, we are centrally dispatched. What that means is that we are tied to the grid and we are controlled from the National Control Center, which is Osogbo. They have the system operator who runs the National Control Center has the responsibility to ensure a reliable grid, has a responsibility to ensure safety of the grid. So in so doing, he determines what goes to the grid and what should go out of the grid. So if there is low offtake from the distribution companies, definitely a generation plant has to be asked to shut down. If the transmission itself has challenges along the grid, it has to tell the generation company to shut down. So, and when that happens, you don't get paid. So it's like having goods in the warehouse, like I used to say, and you are not able to sell them. And if you don't sell the goods, you're not going to get paid. So the major challenge, so they are interlinked. One is that we are not able to sell our product because we are not evacuated by transmission company, again, because of distribution issues. Two, but I would call it network issues, so interface between transmission and distribution. Two, we're faced, again, because we are government-owned, we're faced with very, very low tariff, much lower than our counterparts in gas thermal generation. So that is, again, was a major problem for us. Has that changed? Or have those issues changed? Relatively. In terms of dispatch, again, because of the new contract market, we now have, we're leading up for NDPHC and BET, we're leading up to a contract where we have a certain fixed capacity that must be dispatched by the transmission company or paid for, as is done in normal electricity market. That is low compared to our available capacity, but at any rate, we have to start somewhere. Before, we were getting less than that in terms of dispatch, and we're not even getting capacity payment. So the regulator has taken a very bold step, and we have now started this new contract regime that allows us to generate and then get paid, and if for any reason there is constraints from transmission or distribution, then the market will have to find a way to pay us. If we were asked to generate and we were unable to generate due to our own fault as well, we have to pay liquidated damages. So it's both ways, and I think it's a win-win for everybody.
So since this contract started, how has it been like?
It's been good. Like I said, again, for gas thermal companies, we experience serious gas shortage that has affected the level of generation. For us, most of our power plants were affected by issues with upstream producers having, I don't know, vandalization, they say, on their lines and all that. They get tanked up in there because they're all associated gas. So once their crude gets tanked up, they are not able to produce gas. And if they are not able to produce gas, there's no gas to be given to us. So they had limited quantities, which again, the operators in that sphere, in that space, have managed to, again, distribute to generation companies, but not so much. So it's, we have a very low level of generation, or we had a low level of generation starting up. But I think it's improving now. There was a time I was getting, that's at NDPHC, we were getting just about 60 or 70 million scoff, just enough to run only two turbines out of close to 20 turbines we have in the West. But now it has improved significantly. We are not there yet in terms of gas supply, but a lot of work is being done. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll come back to the gas issue in a bit, because that is also quite germane, and to ask you how perhaps you've been managing that part.
Yeah.
But one thing that is of key interest to me right now is that I know that NDPHC is being owed about 250 billion naira. I would like to know how you're managing with this level of debt, really.
Okay.
Because it seems there's so much debt in the system.
Yeah, no, so I think the debt is somewhere around 150 billion. Let me not put, somewhere around 150 billion. And that, yes, and that started, some of them, a part of that is legacy. Legacy, that's before the privatization, which is expected to be paid by the Nigerian Electricity Liability Management Company. They paid some. We are working on them paying the balance. Some, it used to be about 30 billion. I think somewhere around 24 billion or thereabout now. So we are working towards getting that paid. The minister too and the ministry, they are working with us to ensure we are sister government agencies. Then the rest, a part is from this, what we call the interim period. That is the period immediately after privatization. Yes, before the declaration in 2015 of the transitional electricity market. We have some money with the CBN intervention there that has not been fully paid to us. We are working with the regulator to ensure that that's paid. But the bulk of the debt came from the market as at 2015 to date.
When you talk market, what do you mean? Because
the electricity market.
Yes, it has components inside.
Yeah, the electricity market, it's, I'm talking of electricity generated, invoiced, that's electricity generated, transmitted, consumed, invoiced. Yeah. We invoice embed for that, and embed is to receive the payment from distribution companies and then to pay us with other generation companies. Our portion of the debt there so far is close to, it's about 120-something billion now. Again, I understand a lot of work is being done on the side of embed and several interventions by government to ensure that that is being paid. But you can imagine an entity be owed 150 billion and is still standing. We have our O&M expenses, operation and maintenance expenses to meet. We also have to do the work of intervening and assisting the transmission companies to build transmission assets, which we have continued to do. We have, in recent time, commissioned a number of transmission substations and lines which we built for the transmission company to improve their capabilities to transmit, to take more electricity and serve Nigerians. And then we also continue to intervene in terms of distribution again to help Nigerians, because our company was set up with Nigerians' money, and we're ensuring that it's of no use having the power plant idle, stranded, without Nigerians enjoying from it. So we have to do end-to-end. And we're doing that even with this level of debt to our company. So our receivables is around 150 billion or a little above 150 billion now. It's not been easy, but we're trying to do our best to manage the little resources we get to make sure we deliver on our mandate.
Now, talking about delivering your mandate, because you're also a very integral part in this electricity markets. The NDPHC, I know you're responsible for at least 40% of transmission and distribution infrastructure in Nigeria. Can you walk me through that? I know you have power plants spread across the country and all of that. Can you really walk me through all of that?
Okay, so yeah. So in terms of generation, so the three segments, let me walk you through them so you know what we do, or for the benefit of viewers as well. In terms of generation, our mandate is to build power plants, initially 5,000 megawatts. That about 4,000 have been installed so far. We are working on the remaining 1,000 and a fraction. That's essentially because we had a contractor who was sitting on it for over 12 years. But we have recovered that and gone the process of procurement for other contractors. And that is, they are working on getting the remaining 1,000 back to the grid. So we have 4,000 installed in terms of generation. In terms of transmission, it's difficult to count. We have several kilometers of transmission lines that we built. If you take, for example, NDPHC built the line, I keep citing that, all the way from Ikotekpene in Cross River State, in Akwa Ibom State, Ikotekpene in Akwa Ibom State, through Ugwaji in Enugu State, near Enugu, from there again to Makurdi, and from Makurdi again to Jos all the way. We built all the line. There was that corridor, there was nothing on that corridor before. And as we're building the line, we are building the associated transmission substations. Ikotekpene is a very big substation. It's a 12-circuit substation, so you have 12 lines in and out of the substation. We have, and it's a marshalling station. It's a 330 kV marshalling station. We have Ugwaji is a substation that with transformation capacity from 330 to 132 to 33 at Ugwaji. And we have that everywhere. We just recently commissioned, His Excellency the President recently commissioned our Lafayette transmission substation. That is also a 330 kV, 132 kV, 33 kV substation, 3-in-1. So what it does is you step down from 330 to 132 to 33 to enable the distribution companies to offtake and serve the communities, the people within that area. And that station would also backfeed Abuja. I think the transmission company is working to connect to that station so that they will be backfeed to Abuja. So all this we've done. We have countless transmission substations, like I mentioned, in the country. We commissioned the Abeokuta 132-33 substation. The Vice President commissioned that I think in 2019, thereabout. We commissioned Oka in Anambra State. It's a 132-33 substation. These are very big substations. We've just finished the one in Adeabo, Calabar, technically commissioned, so we're waiting for the official commissioning of that. And several others. We have several substations as far as Sokoto, Kebbi, Kaduna. We've commissioned a number of substations, particularly in distribution. In Yola as well, we have quite a number. In Bauchi, we did, even under my term, we did a number of injection substations, distribution substations. So that's what we've done. A lot. I mean, we've done well over 400 projects in distribution alone. And distribution is usually from 33 kV to 11 kV, and then to the one that enters your home, 0.415. We do all that, and we've done quite a number of that across Nigeria. Transmission, like I said, we've done the lines, 330, the one you call high voltage or high tension in local parlance, high tension. We did that. The same with 132 kV. We did several kilometers of that. We did substations, associated substations. So we've done quite a lot. And recently we entered into solar. We first rolled out 20,000 units of solar home systems.
Okay, because I was coming to that in terms of the green economy,
the green economy,
solar or renewable energy.
Fantastic. So we're focusing a lot more on that.
Okay.
Yeah, focusing a lot more on that. We did the first phase, which was 20,000. We called it under a presidential initiative. We did the economic sustainability plan also mandated us to do 5 million connections. We are working on that. We have started rolling out about 100,000 units of solar home system based on that mandate from the federal government. So we are working with a private partner to ensure that we deliver that. That is ongoing. We've installed quite a number of units in that regard. And the interesting thing is that the private partner also has a place where they assemble the solar home units in country. Then, in terms of utility scale solar renewable, you would have noticed recently we have these foreign partners who are working with the Americans, and recently we were received by the president. We are working on 1,000 megawatts of utility scale solar across the country, across 10 sites. In the country, across 10 sites, basically where you have more solar quality, particularly in the north. We are working on that. We are working with state governments, Nasarawa state government. We are working with Gombe state government. We are working with Kebbi state, a number of governments to assist us with land so that we can develop this project. And they have been very, very cooperating to ensure that we deliver on that project. So that project is ongoing. We're focusing a lot more on solar as well. Yeah.
Okay, the question now is, with everything you have said, because I wonder that for those that are watching us right now, what will be on the lips of Nigerians is that we still haven't gotten there in terms of fixing this perennial power challenge, which we've had now for decades and decades and decades. What will it take to fix Nigeria's power issue? What will it really take? I don't know if you can take your hat out as a generator, to take a look at the system holistically. Because I've spoken to many of you in that sector from different areas, and they come to me with also different solutions. I would like to hear what yours is.
The major challenge in the sector is downstream of the electricity sector.
Which is? Distribution?
Which is distribution and collection and billing.
Okay.
Yeah, billing and collection, yeah.
You're talking of cost-reflective tariffs now?
Just let me, I just want to just take it
as one by one.
Yes. So, you see, when a stream is flowing and it doesn't have where it flows to, it's going to cause problem, right? Yeah. So, and that is the problem of the sector. There are the three components of distribution business: technical, commercial, collection. So if we're able to reduce the losses in these three components, so if we're able to resolve the technical losses, if we're able to resolve the commercial losses, even if we're able to resolve the collection losses. Investment in distribution, investment in generation will be much easier, because that is where the reinvestment is, where you have to mobilize the capital, and that's in generation. Because 1 megawatt, a rule of the thumb is like $1 million.
Yes.
So investors will be willing if you have a credit-worthy and viable distribution segment of that market. So, but that said, the government again has rightly identified that government has intervened. Technical losses, I hear there's a lot of money from the CBN loan to the transmission company, through the distribution companies, yes, to clean up the network segment from transmission to distribution. So a lot of money is on that. There's also a lot of money in National Mass Metering Program. Which will resolve the collection losses. A lot is being done. With the work the federal government is doing, don't forget that I said that Niger Delta Power Holding Company, our company, has been doing a lot again, because we identified that very early, that if we don't fix distribution, we go nowhere with generation, and then Nigerians will not have electricity. So we have done quite a lot in all the distribution zones. It's not free of charge, by the way. They will have to pay for it. The regulator, as at now, is working to value all the government investments through us and ensure that they are paid for. Yes, so that they will be in their regulated asset base, because if they pay for it, they will have to recover it again from the market. So a lot is being done to do that, but we haven't finished yet. Then a lot of investment is required in transmission, where government is doing a lot, CBN intervention, like I mentioned. The moment that is done, generation will pick up. Because if you have a viable market, I can contract for gas. The problem with gas now is that the gas man fees is not paid. And if it's not paid, there's no incentive to sink more wells, to build more gas gathering facilities. So it's a simple money matter. So if we're able to clear the network area, of course there are so other macroeconomic issues.
Yes,
in terms,
FX differential.
Yes, that's a major issue. Yeah, it's affecting us in terms of payment for gas now, because we're always fighting with some of our gas suppliers, because it's denominated in USD, and although payable in Naira. So that difference keeps coming up, and that, and of course inflation and all the other indices as well. But the major issue is, let's get the network right, let's get the collection facilities right, and then you will be able now to stem the huge level of commercial losses and electricity theft. And then by the time you do that, then the power can flow. And once the power flows, once the electricity flows, generation will come up. But what happens now is there's a lot of disturbance in the network area from because of this low uptake, because of this huge huge technical, commercial, and collection losses. It affects the transmission company in terms of dispatch, and then the generation companies bear the brunt. So a 100 megawatt plant, if you have the opportunity, I'll take you to one of our power plants so that you see one unit turbine, which is 125 megawatts. And that 125 megawatts, technical limit cannot run below 80 megawatts. But like yesterday, we were being forced to run at 75 megawatts. So you are killing the machine.
Yeah, because it's not.
Yeah, you start in the morning. Oh, come up with one unit. You can do up to 115 megawatts. Okay, no problem. You can come down to 100 megawatts. Off. Turbines are meant to run continuously around the year. They are meant to run, except for times for scheduled maintenance. And it's scheduled. You reach a particular number of hours, and you have a process of shutting down. and you notify the system operator, I have to do maintenance so and so time, and you go through the process of gradual shutdown. But where you run a system that every hour you shut down, you start, you shut down, you start. Even when I used to be in transaction as a lawyer, when we used to negotiate PPAs, I see investors saying that if I do more than 12 starts a year, you have to pay me because it costs a lot of money. Yes. But now, even in a month, for one unit, I can do maybe how many starts, perhaps 30 or 40 starts, or even twice that, you know. And that is not factored in the payment I get. So it kills the machines. You have to spend a lot more money maintaining the machines. The frequency of maintenance, of course, is higher. And these parts, again, are not available in country. You have to order them. For us, as a government agency-owned company, you have to go through the procurement process. You don't anticipate, because you can't anticipate every fault. Even when you anticipate the stock of spares, you don't have money. When a company has receivables of over 150 billion, where are you going to get the money to stock spares everywhere? So you must necessarily go through the process of procurement, which the downtime increases your downtime. So these are some of the issues. Yeah.
So is there a headway really out of this? Because with all what you've enumerated now, getting even more investment or new investment in the sector will be definitely a challenge, because you have a lot of issues right now which you've itemized, gas issues, the issue of even the FS differentials and the gas is also a problem. The issue of even electricity theft, you talked about the downstream sector also being one of the weakest links, really, why the sector isn't working. So we can't see new investment.
So I just mentioned to you that there's a lot of government is focusing so much on that.
But how much can government do? Because government is even inundated right now with a lot of challenges.
So the CBN has wrote a loan to that segment. Yes. A study was done. A study was done on transmission and distribution interfaces, because there has been so much argument about them, between them, that transmission doesn't give them electricity where they need it. Transmission will say, we have electricity, you don't take it, and all of that. So the regulator moderated a study of that, or rather coordinated a study to find out where these issues. So we'll find out where investments should be made immediately, and I think that is where the CBN loan is targeted. So when you make that investment, and there will be offtake, and distribution companies will be able to take and then serve end users, consumers like myself, yourself, and every other person watching. Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of work is going on, and it will begin to yield fruit. Sorry, I forgot to mention again the presidential PPI Power Initiative, which is managed by the FGM Power Company. FGM, I am always very proud to say that we also play host to the FGM Power Company, because they have a space in our premises and we work together. They're implementing the Siemens project. Yeah. So that's again targeted at the network segment, transmission and distribution. So a lot of work, a lot of focus is in that segment, and once you clear the problems there, private investment can come in generation quickly. Private investors are waiting. Private investors are waiting. Is the fact that if I'm coming to do generation, if I'm going to invest $1 billion, because it can take as much as that, then you government must guarantee offtake. So that's where the issue, that capacity payment comes in.
Okay.
Yeah.
We just have about 2 minutes to the end of the show, and I have a lot to still ask.
Oh, wow.
I don't know, but let's do the much we can. Is finance, is money really the problem of power only? Is money? Can you answer me in 30 seconds? Is money? Because the CBN, which you've mentioned, have been pumping money into the sector. I can remember even when the 14th Emir of Kano was the governor of Central Bank, they had what was called the PAIF, Power and Aviation Intervention. Aviation also has its own challenges, you know, power has. So is it only money that is the problem? 30 seconds, then.
Money answers all things.
Okay, money answering all things. That's a very smart one. Now, for the size of the Nigerian economy, $459 billion right now, the #1 economy in Africa, how many megawatts in generation will it really take for us to power this economy, if all things being equal? How many megawatts? Because our counterparts, South Africa, Egypt, they are doing more than we're doing right now.
If you want to get everybody into the grid, it will take quite a lot.
Can you give me an idea?
You need to do a study on that.
Oh.
There are several numbers being bandied, but right now, I believe anywhere, if Nigeria has 20,000 megawatts, the people on the grid can be served. But that's suppressed demand. Yeah, so know that that's suppressed demand. So the moment you have regular power to these people on the grid right now, a lot of people will begin to... many industries are not on the grid. A lot of industries are not on the grid because they don't want to distort or disturb their production processes. You know, so you lose a lot of money if a production process is going on and electricity goes off. You know, so they don't want to whatever. So if they come in, maybe it will be graduating, maybe to 50,000. To we will probably need somewhere around 100,000. Yeah.
Okay, about the issue of decentralization of power, so to speak, like states and all of that, very quickly too.
I don't know why people argue that it's not decentralized. Everybody has the right to invest in electricity. What I see them argue, and the only power the federal government has is to regulate, power to make laws. It's different from power to do the business. I understand some states want also to have the powers to make laws, but do you want to over-regulate the sector, then investment will not come.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another 30 seconds. Yeah. You have, I think, 2 more years to go.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
What exactly should we look forward to?
See, we look forward to resolving the challenges overall, the sector-wide challenges in the sector. We are working towards that, the government working toward that, and then the NDPHC will contribute its quota to ensuring that that is done, and we are doing that. We look forward to uninterrupted generation in a few years. We pray we get there. Yes.
That was a smart one, uninterrupted generation.
Yes.
Because it's just a component.
A component. That's the one I am in control of, yes.
The one you are in control of, so you've taken the rope out of your neck.
Yes.
But thank you very much.
Thank you so much
for coming on the show. And I hope it will not take another long time to sit down here with me to take a look at the sector. So thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. We're always there. And thanks for your program. We enjoy your program, Nancy.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
All right, I've been speaking with Chiedu Ugbo, who is the Managing Director at the NDPHC, Niger Delta Power Holding Company. We've been looking at the Nigerian electricity markets. That's the much you can take on today's edition of the program. Thank you all for joining us. Be the best you can be the change that you want to see. I am Nancy Naji. Bye now.